going to continue our lessons in the 7 churches in Asia in the book of Revelation. And we're starting with Revelation chapter 2, verse 8, to the church in Smyrna. Now, all of these letters start off with attributes of Jesus Christ that were mentioned in the prelude to these letters. And in this one, it goes into the angel of the church in Smyrna write, the words of the first and the last who died and came to life. Now, if you remember in the beginning, we found out that the angel of the church is the messenger of the church, whether it was the presiding elder, whether it was the evangelist, or someone. This was who was responsible for giving the message of God to the congregation. And we find from the New Testament that most of the letters that were written were sent to other congregations and read. So this is given to the person who would read the letters to the congregation. Now, the words, the descriptions of Jesus give you a picture of the tone that the letter is going to take. The words of the first and the last who died and came to life. The first and the last, the beginning and the end, everything. Who died and came to life. It's almost putting it in neon saying, listen to me. Listen. They're not scary words. They're not fancy, glorious words. They're words that show the need to listen. I know your tribulation and your poverty, but you are rich. Many congregations in the first century were very, very poor. They weren't the rich. And Jesus, who stands in the middle of the lampstands, the middle of the churches, says, I know your tribulation and I know your poverty. I know that it is hard. But then he says, but you are rich. In the midst of their poverty, they were richer than all of those around them because they were in Jesus Christ. Because they are his body, the church. They were rich, and he wants them to remember that even though if they look around, it seems like they're poor, they're truly rich. Not middle class, rich. And it continues, and the slander of those who say they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. The Jews in Smyrna were slandering the Christians. They were saying bad things about them, probably getting some of them fired. That happens when you slander and say things. Now, this is not saying that all Jews were a synagogue of Satan. But this takes place somewhere around 70 A.D. when the split between the Jews and the Christians became absolute. They were no longer considered, well, you're just not very good Jews. But some synagogues, some Jews actively persecuted the Christians. And that's what made them a synagogue of Satan. They were no longer serving God. They weren't just not serving God, but they were joined the other team. And that's what makes them a synagogue of Satan. Do not fear what you are about to suffer. Behold, the devil is about to throw some of you into prison. This letter is a warning. That's why I start off with, listen to me. It's a warning. Guess what? This is going to happen. Don't be surprised. Well, that's a lesson. As we said, this is a letter to all churches of all times. That's a lesson to every congregation. Don't be surprised if the devil throws you into prison. He was going to throw this congregation, and he may throw yours. But you're going there that you might be tested. I'm going to allow it so you can be tested. And for 10 days you will have tribulation. It's not forever. You will have tribulation, but it will come to an end. And one thing that I think is really good to get out of this is it's not your neighbor that's the problem. It's not the government that's the problem. It's not those religious people over there that are the problem. He didn't say the government's going to throw you in prison. He didn't say the Jews were going to throw you in prison.